I hope, Aubrey, that that wasn't the case for you. I hope, and I'm glad that you're still here because if you weren't, we wouldn't have this episode.
If you pay me a Birmingham, make it look just the way I plan. A little house on the edge of town.
Good morrow, everybody. My name is Robin, also known as Sunny Side Up Gal, and you are my Sunny Side Up pal. Hello, hi, welcome. Welcome very much. If you are new here, hello. Hi, and welcome very much to my channel. I appreciate you stopping by and taking a look. If you haven't already, please consider giving me a subscribe and go ahead and like the video because I know you saw the thumbnail. You was like, I'm gonna like it. Go ahead and like it. If you are not here, hi, hello. How are you? How was your week? Because hopefully I'm posting this on a Friday. Friday.
Hi, gay.
How was it? Today's episode, we are going to be talking about the Miss PhD Aubrey Hoffer.
Hey there, be sure to check out the description if you want more details. This video is a critique of an individual focusing on reacting, commenting, and analyzing publicly available content. I include snippets of the original material to analyze and chat about it, all under fair use as outlined in Section 101 of the U.S. Copyright Act. Remember, the original content belongs to its creators. I'm just sharing my own thoughts, judgments, and opinions. This falls under the transformative nature shit in the Fair Use Act. These are just my views, and the content isn't meant to harm or target anyone. Please do not reach out to or bother the individual mentioned here. That is icky behavior. If you have an opinion, let's discuss it in the comments. Also, any mention of food or diet or tinfoil hat shit isn't medical advice. It's just for fun and discussion.
As a part of my Aubrey Hoffer series, if you are unfamiliar, I do have a playlist, a little collection I'm starting for her. But if you're unfamiliar with the lore, a while back, like 2 or 3 years ago, and I haven't let it go yet, I stitched one of her videos on Instagram and she did not agree with my stitch. I will say I was probably catty. I don't really remember what the stitch was. I know the essence of it was that she said it was okay to be unhealthy and perfectly fine being fat and unhealthy. And I was just like, I disagree, but not that nice. Anyway, she blocked me, but
I'd find you.
and the internet is forever. You can always find somebody on the internet. So if you are not careful, be careful. If you're wondering, like,
Robin, where's the rest of your shirt?
a while back, I just got into Depop, right? And I saw this shirt. Let me show you. I saw this shirt on Depop and I was like, trash.
Trash.
I was like, I need to get this. So then I got it. Unfortunately, I didn't realize how much fucking trash this was. It's tied right here. And this is like something that I would have done maybe when I was in high school. However, it's messy and we're messy and I'm messy and that's the show.
Okay.
And I actually don't mind it. I also love the way my arms look. Is mommy skinny? Me don't know. But anyway, I wore it, or I put it on right now because I'm actually filming this at night.
At night.
Usually I do it really early in the morning, like 3 o'clock. Because I'm an early bird. Because the early bird gets the what? The worm.
Alaskan bullworm!
I put this on and I was like, ew, I don't really know, but fuck it, you know, let's just have fun, right? Do I feel like a WWE wrestler? Yes. Do I love that?
You all know the real reason.
Also, yes, I do like that. Wouldn't that be so cool if I was a WWE wrestler and I got paid to like work out and hurt myself? That's like checking off so many boxes. Maybe in my next life. But yeah, so trash.
Trash.
At first I was like, this is fucking cringe. But then I was like, okay. Okay.
Okay.
You know, we're gonna have fun with it. I'm not going anywhere. Would I go to Walmart with this shirt on? No. Because I think it's sexy and I'm not trying to like be sexy outside. Is it sexy? Am I just attracted to hobos? Anyway, let's get to Aubrey. So here's what I've done, you guys. I did so much extensive research this morning. And by extensive research, I went to the forbidden clicky clocky website. I don't like to go on that site because I am a patriot, but I went to the site and I just downloaded a bunch. These are old, some of them are from 2023. But here's the thing, you spread a lot of misinformation, and I dislike that. Aubrey Hoffer is she has a PhD in psychology, I believe, and she is a body image researcher. I know. I would say that that is just as banana bonkers as like getting a college degree in toenail clipping collections. It feels like an awful waste. However, I mean, it's a degree in psychology, so if this doesn't work out, she can do, other helpful things maybe. Maybe one day she'll wake up and be like, "Yo,
This was a bad idea, and I need to get healthy now and actually lose the weight.
but one can dream." But anyway, so these are a little bit older. This particular collection, because I have little tiny files saved for her. This particular one is just a HAES, it's just HAES. It's very body positive misinformation, very obesity is totally healthy information. We're just going to get into it. So, again, if you're new here, I hope you like it, and I hope you like my shirt, and I hope you like talking a little bit of trash with me. Okay.
Why do some fat people hate being called obese?
Because they don't want to be held accountable for some things.
Well, the answer to that is that sometimes the word obese or obesity medicalizes fat bodies, sometimes in the absence of any actual
It is the medical definition of an of a body that is. I find it very, very strange that people get offended by medical terms. And I know a lot of the times they bring up the fact that, there have been medical terms that are now considered like slurry. And I just don't think that obesity is ever going to be one of those. It is a scientific term. Actually, let's see what it is. Let's see what the origin. What's the etymology of obesity? Let's see. All right, the word obesity comes from the Latin obesitas. Nope. God, I can't read already. I can't read anyway, and you want me to read Latin. Okay, the word obesity comes from the Latin obesitas, meaning fatness. That's all I gotta say. Which itself derives from obesus, the past participle of obedere, meaning to eat oneself fat. So far, let's go back to Latin because there's no nonsense. They did not give a shit about feelings back then. Or devour, combining over, away, and adere, to eat. First appearing in English around the 1610s, the term literally points to consuming enough food to become corpulent. What a great word, corpulent. Feels so good. A concept understood through different cultural lenses throughout history. Latin roots, obesus, fat or stout. Historical context, literal meaning. The etymology reflects a direct physical connection to eating in excess, as in having eaten oneself fat or devouring. So my concern, I wonder if people in obese bodies don't like the word obese, I would love to know what word they would rather them use. Because obesity is just the word, right? What is the other word? Do you want your doctor to just call you fat? Here's the thing, like I've said in many of my other videos, there's a ton of different flavors in the fat acceptance and fat liberation community, whereas some people are taking back the word fat, they use fat like positively. They're like,
No, don't stop saying this. I'm fat. Don't worry about calling me chubby. I'm just a fat person.
whereas other people are like,
That's offensive. Don't call me fat. XYZ.
apparently there are people who are offended by the word obesity because it medicalizes their body type, when it just is. Like, I hate being that type of person who is like, sorry, it just is. Because there's no like, it feels like an unintelligent argument in my opinion. Maybe I'm just over judging myself. But what is the word that they would use? Big? Because big could mean a lot of things. Big could mean tall. Obesity is, I would say, perfect word for this.
medical problem. The word obesity comes from the BMI, but
The word obesity comes from 1610, and the BMI. See, this is my problem with Aubrey, is she doesn't research stuff. And I have a particular taste for etymology. I think I love finding the origins of like words. It's super interesting to me, because we're also connected with language. Like language has evolved, and so I love it. So BMI invention. All right, BMI was invented by Adolf Quetelet
Adolphe Quetelet.
Adolphe Quetelet.
in the 1830s as a part of his study of the average man. First use of the word obesity. The term obesity first appeared in English in the the term obesity first appeared in English in the early 1600s, around 1610, 1611. So Aubrey, you didn't research again. I feel like I'm gonna have to do like a bingo. It's too late. Maybe in my next victim, I'll do a bingo. I just hate when people just make statements like this and they don't even have just the curiosity to fact check. You know what I mean? Have you ever heard something so absolutely absurd and you're like, let me take a look and just double check and see if that's correct. I don't feel like Aubrey does that. Like I even do that when I see like medical studies. Sometimes I'll read something in a medical study and I'm like, is that for real? But she just goes, "Oh, these people have a lab coat, so it's correct." And I just dislike that. I dislike that, you know? If you're wondering what I'm drinking, this is literally just like a Walmart drink packet with a little bit of coconut milk as my sweet treat for the night. Thank you, Angelica, unfiltered. I've been having a sweet drink instead of a sweet treat at night. Actually, I stopped doing sweet treats a long time ago, but this has been a nice little sweet treat, an actual sweet treat. All right, let's keep going. Aubrey.
BMI, or body mass index,
Isn't her voice just like
is a weak and oftentimes inaccurate predictor of both present and future health.
No, I think if you have a BMI that's reading morbidly obese, which is over 40, um, that can tell somebody you are currently unwell and you are futurely unwell. And by what I mean by currently unwell is if you've gotten to the point where you're over the BMI, if your BMI is over 40, there's plenty going wrong. And unfortunately, and I'm not even trying, I feel like I'm being a little bit too snarky, too crass, but you're ruining your body. Like you are. I didn't even get that high. I the highest weight I ever got was to 230, and I feel like I ruined my body that way.
Holy shit. I did get that high. I didn't realize, but yes, for a height of 5'4", 64 inches with a weight of 230 pounds, I was 232 in high school. The body mass index is approximately 41.5. I was class 3 obese, morbidly obese at one time in my life. Luckily, it was short-lived because I think after high school, the highest I had ever gotten back up to was like maybe like 220. Okay, so 220 is not morbidly obese. But I was morbidly obese at one point in my life. I cannot believe it. That doesn't even feel like that's far away. Like, am I just blind? I know I'm 178 right now, but like 230 seems like so easy. I don't know. I'm shook right now, you guys. I am shook right now.
My pancreas, she's tired. You know what I mean? Never gonna be the same. Um, and I feel like, yeah, the BMI is a great tool. It's not the end all be all, but it's a great tool to tell you, hey, you're going in this direction and you should like change some stuff.
When fat bodies are medicalized, it encourages doctors and other healthcare professionals to attribute all maladies of the body to a person's weight. After all, if fatness itself is the disease, then everything must be a result of fatness.
It is possible. It's not saying that every disease is a result of fatness, but it is possible. Fat excess adipose tissue is hormonally active. It can cause a like crazy up a cornucopia of diseases to the body, especially if you're a female because of all the excess hormones and stuff like that. I mean, yes, if you're a male, but you run the risk of a lot. Like I remember during the panorama, if you were in a you were even at a your chances of surviving that, we were told by the media, is was grim. Like you when you live in an obese body, so much stuff is hits you so much harder. Have you ever noticed, like, if you've got any like obese or fat family or friends or coworkers that they're sick, if you live in a healthier body now, that they're sick a lot more? Or even if you are or if you were obese at some point in your life, did you ever notice that shit was always going wrong for you? Because that's how it was for me. I feel like I was going to the emergency room for something quite often, emergency room or urgent care. Now that I'm like eating a lot better and living in a smaller body, I've been maintaining a smaller body compared to where I was for a while, and I'm finally going down on the scale again. I feel like things are so much better because I'm moving more, I'm eating way better, I have way more energy, my thyroid's, in check, my PCOS is in check, and I feel way better and I'm not as sick.
This can oftentimes lead to medical discrimination, and when fat people observe that they are discriminated against in medical settings, it can cause them to avoid going to the doctor, which can cause them to not be diagnosed with illnesses as soon as they should be.
That's a personal problem though. Like I feel so bad that that does happen to people. I personally did have an issue with a specific doctor who did treat me like that. But then you just go and you find, I know that is this sounds very privileged or whatever, but you can always shop around. Not I know that not everybody can, but a lot of people can. A lot of people can shop around. I'm not saying shop around to a doctor who's going to coddle you, but if you know that something is absolutely wrong, go to another doctor, get a second opinion, right? Like I'm seeing all of these problems in people and they're like, this happened, XYZ, this happened, and now I have to get my uterus removed. And it's like, well, did you get a second opinion? And then if you did get a second opinion, did they also tell you that you were obese? Because I have a feeling if you go to 5 different doctors and 4 of them are telling you that you have an obesity issue and you need to lose weight, I think you should listen. I really do. The funny thing is I really, except for that one doctor, nobody really told me to lose weight or change my diet or anything like that. Like they were just more focused on like selling me procedures and medication. Like I remember when I first got diagnosed with PCOS, my doctor prescribed me metformin, and she was like, "You have PCOS, and you're just gonna have this problem forever." And I had to do my own research to find out what insulin resistance was. And then I found keto, and I found out a lot of people were doing keto to help with their PCOS symptoms, and it's like, yes, love it. Not gonna tell you a diet, sorry. I love it, but now when I tell my doctors that I'm keto, they're like, "Oh, well, this and this and this." And it's like, listen, when I was like last year, or actually it might have been the year before, I went to the doctor for checkups. She was super concerned about my cholesterol, but and there's a whole study, and I'm not going to get into it now. Maybe I'll do a little flash of the PMID so that you guys can research it yourself. But cholesterol isn't an issue unless you have like inflammation markers, high blood sugar, like you're a smoker. It depends, it's not all. I'm not going to say cholesterol is like healthy, but you do need cholesterol to like build your cells and stuff like that. So cholesterol is necessary. It's not something that you should avoid 100%. It's absolutely necessary. Um, but when I'm on keto, my cholesterol, when I was eating, here's the thing, I was eating a lot of saturated fat. So yes, my cholesterol was raised a little bit. Just a little bit. But when I was eating like a standard American diet, my cholesterol was lower a lot, but my blood sugar and my insulin levels were like absolutely almost practically diabetic. And I got more praise about that than I did about my blood sugar and my insulin resistance like being in check. And it's like, what's more important? And in my opinion, I feel like blood sugar, right? Because I feel like a lot of comorbidities come with prediabetes, diabetes, and if you get that in check, everything kind of falls into place. So now that I've got that into check, like my cholesterol levels are like, girl, you're beautiful, you're skinny, you're sexy. So skinty, sexy. I kind of went on a tangent there, but it is it's a passion of mine. Okay, let's see what else she has to say.
So, a couple issues with this comment. The first one is this idea that all fat people are fat as a result of overeating. That's not true. People can be fat for a variety.
It is true. Fat people are fat because they put a lot of food in their mouth. Now, there are some reasons why somebody would get fat without food, and it would be mostly water weight, like if you're on steroids or something. That said, and I have a feeling she's going to get into it, but like a lot of people bring up what I have. So Hashimoto's, PCOS, those are diseases that make you fat. And no, they don't make you fat. If I sat here and didn't eat for days, I wouldn't automatically get fat. You know what I mean? They make you hungry, they make you insulin resistant. So if you eat food that has that well, Hashimoto's doesn't make you insulin resistant. PCOS does. PCOS makes you insulin resistant if you eat food that requires an insulin uh, response. You're gonna get fat because you can't do anything with the sugar in your blood. Your insulin doesn't you just overload with insulin that doesn't do anything. And that's what makes you fat because insulin is a growth hormone. Insulin is necessary for you to get fat. That's why if you've ever noticed if somebody has to inject themselves with insulin and they use the same spot all the time to inject their insulin, that spot will get like a fatty deposit. So the more you know. You guys just learned a little fun fact, okay? Insulin is the fat growth hormone. Insulin's the fat storing hormone. And it's absolutely necessary because we need fat on our body. But if you are overdoing it and you're insulin resistant, you're gonna hurt yourself.
Reasons that may or may not have to do with how much they eat. Am I saying that what you eat has nothing to do with what you weigh? No. What I am saying is that you can't use overeaters and fat as synonyms.
Mm, close. Yes, you can. I feel like how am I gonna word this? Yes, you can. If you looked at somebody who was 400 pounds, I think it's uh, a safe deduction. Is that the right word? That they eat a lot. I don't know. Maybe they're so severely insulin resistant that they literally they smell a cookie and they gain weight. But I doubt it. I really do doubt it. I don't think that you just gain fat out of nowhere. Like I said, if I just sat here and didn't eat for 3 days, something would fucking move, right? I wouldn't gain weight.
That's not a thing. Second is this idea that fat people are not viewed as lesser than in society. There is a ton of empirical evidence finding that weight bias do exist and that anti-fat bias are prevalent in the social world, in the realm of medicine, and just in pop culture. If there wasn't a belief that fat people are worth less than thin people, then why do we have to try so hard to get even a smidge of body representation in media?
I'm so sick of that. I feel like we are getting body representation in media. And here's the thing, I feel like we are. I'm seeing a lot more ads that are body positive.
This is Black Business, where every idea begins with us in mind.
Inch Kindle, and this is my bag. The bag has everything in it.
I'm here to find my new Barney's World goodies, available only at Walmart. Undercover outfit? Check.
And it's kind of like, I'm going to be honest with you, it's kind of interesting. It is. It is interesting to see normal. I'm saying normal like this because like I normally see obese people in my world, including myself. So it is kind of interesting to see obese people on my phone selling me something. As far as like maybe she's thinking about media like television, we've seen plenty of shows, even Euphoria. Like I'm not saying I think her name is Barbie. I'm not saying that she's fat, but she was very average sized. Like she was very average American sized, right? Um, I think sometimes Aubrey's arguments, I think what she really wants is a world that is obese. Like she wants to see a show where there's not a single skinny person, they're all fat. That's going to make Aubrey happy. And why do I think that? I think Aubrey is insecure. And I think Aubrey wishes that more people were fat so that she didn't stick out. That's just my, very, very unprofessional judgment. But I think that Aubrey and a lot of the fat acceptance movement, they want more people to be obese so that they aren't as looked down upon or judged. I don't know if those are the right words. I'm clearly judging, but I don't know if those are the right words that I'm using. Maybe they want more people to be like their size so that they feel maybe less guilt about some of the things that they're doing to themselves, because you can't see how big Aubrey is, but she is big. Like she is a large gal, and I don't think she's very tall, but I do notice that since 2023, I posted some newer videos from her on my first episode of the Aubrey season. She has probably gained like 50 or 60 pounds. That's my guess. And I think it's more, but something's not going okay, I think, for her. And I think she's just trying to recruit. That's it.
It's fine if you think that your life was worse when you were fat, but I also think having a snarky ass attitude makes your life worse no matter what you weigh.
Hmm. And if you are just listening, the comment that she was replying to was, no one sees overeaters as worse less than anyone else. That's a myth. Yeah, I really don't either. I actually look at overeaters and I kind of like pity them a little bit, or, oh, does that count as less than? I see people who struggle with food, because I've struggled with food like my entire life, except for now. I look at them with a bit of a softer heart. Like, we all watch 600-Pound Life, and you don't look at them in total disgust. I don't. I feel mostly sad, and then the ones that I'm kind of like, this person's a fucking bitch, are the who I'm talking about, specific ones that are bitches or assholes. But yeah, I don't go to my Walmart and look at somebody who clearly is an overeater with disgust. They're still a human being, you know what I mean? Um what I do think is disgusting is like when I see, and you're always going to see like the bad stuff in the media or even on social media. Oh god, social media is getting really bad about it, because like those videos get hits, and then the people who shared those videos are like, cool, I'll just have to be a disgusting monster for like my entire life so I can keep making money, and it's sad. Like that one mom. You guys know who the mom is. I don't I don't the ones on the social media that are like, "Oh, these are gross," that you can tell a lot of it is a show, but the way that they act, um they they rely on others, and they are a burden on others and know that they can change, but then they don't. Like, I don't like that. Maybe I would look down on somebody like that. Um when your addiction or your obsession becomes everybody else's problem, so like you've seen people where they're so large that even their young children have to take care of them, that's a problem to me, and I don't like it. And I'll be looking down on you like that because you're on the couch and I'm standing up.
Is your weight actually the problem, or do you just live in a world that is full of anti fat bias?
No, being in an obese body is a problem.
I pose this question because I oftentimes see people expressing this desire to lose weight out of a desire to be treated better by society.
I That was the case for me. I've known some people that is the case, and actually some of y'all have told me like that you've wanted to be treated better. And I'm sorry that if you've ever been treated not so nicely if you were an obese body. But I don't think the majority of people are trying to escape fat bias or escape um fat discrimination. I think that most of the people who decide, most, I'm not saying all, most of the people who decide, especially in 2026, who decide to do a weight loss, who decide to make a weight loss change, are doing it for health reasons. Everybody that I've talked to, that I'm chill with, that I'm homies with, besties with, that are on a weight loss journey are doing it for health reasons, myself included. I don't know of a lot of people who, I think the only person that, yeah, literally the only person that I wouldn't say I don't know her personally, but the only person that I watch on like Instagram that I'm like, she's in it just for the looks is HRH.
Stop eating! Stop it! You don't need to fucking eat all the time.
HRH. We love her. She is a mother.
They have usually put 3 pumps of chocolate in that fat fucking mocha drink, okay?
But yeah, most people, I would even say literally all my friends that are on weight loss journeys are doing it for health reasons, not for vanity reasons, or to escape some kind of fat discrimination or fat bias.
And don't get me wrong, I'm sure for some people, they really do want weight loss for a variety of reasons. And that's fine. They have the autonomy to pursue that.
Gosh, just like literally everything that she says, she always has to like, she's like, yeah, if you want to do this, that's totally fine. And then she has to like throw in little tiny things that are like, but that kind of makes you a shitty person. Do you know what I mean? Let's see if she does it here.
But I think for most people, their problem really isn't with their weight. It's the way that people treat them as a result of their weight. And if we lived in a society that didn't prime being fat as the worst possible thing.
I don't know if any, I mean, I know that some people, especially if you've got like problems, like disordered stuff, but I don't think most people, I don't think that being fat is the worst possible thing a person can be. I know that people joke about being fat being the worst thing. Like, have you seen that meme going around where people are like, would you rather, would you rather be this or skinny? And people are like, skinny, skinny, I don't care. Like, would you rather be a billionaire or skinny? And people are like, oh, skinny.
Skinny, $1 million.
Oh, skinny. Is that bad?
Skinny or free trip to Greece.
Oh, skinny. For sure.
Yeah?
Why would I want to be fat in Greece?
And that's all a joke. But I don't think that people think that being fat is the worst thing a person can be. I think what it is that people do fear being fat. As far as fat phobia, I think it is a valid fear. I don't think it's an unnecessary fear to be fat. I do think it is a valid fear because we've seen people, we've seen friends, we've seen, family members on my side who have died most likely at the result of being in an obese body. They were at least obese, you know what I mean? So it's not necessarily seen as the worst thing, more than it is something controllable. And so like people will do whatever it takes to control that and not let that happen because of the comorbidities with obesity. If you can avoid getting type 2 diabetes by just not eating as much shitty food and not overeating, you can do that. But for some reason, Aubrey's like, that's not good because Aubrey wants people to be fat.
A person could be, well, maybe people wouldn't feel so dissatisfied with how they look. I feel like this is a very banal take.
Hold on a second.
Prime being fat as the worst possible thing a person could be, well, maybe people wouldn't feel so dissatisfied with how they look. I feel like this.
Oh, okay. So let's change the minds of society instead of changing our bodies. That I feel like that would take an evolutionary shift or something like that would take something way more than just like, okay, everybody, announcement. We're just going to go ahead and stop thinking that fat is not good. And we're just going to go ahead and think and make that the beauty standard. Like, no, that's not how it works, Aubrey.
I feel like this is a very banal take, but
banal.
Every time I say it, people get very incensed.
Another big word. Incense, late Middle English, early sense, inflame or excite someone with a strong feeling. Wow, I will admit, I do like that she uses words. I feel like most of the words I'm like, I use are like, that's stupid. I need to work on my vocabulary. I actually should start reading books again, and that's gonna help a ton. I feel like when I am like reading more, I'm like a different person. But I haven't been reading. I should.
Yeah, the behaviors I'm teaching are definitely dangerous. You know, how on this platform I'm constantly telling people that if they want to pursue weight loss, they're totally welcome to, and that I will never stop somebody from.
Yeah, so she says that, but clearly nobody can stop somebody from, especially when you live in a phone, nobody can stop other people from losing weight. So I think like her defense is kind of idiotic.
But alternatively, for a lot of people, the pursuit of weight loss is oftentimes a detriment to their physical, mental, and emotional health.
Who? If most Americans are obese, who is it, detrimental to? I can understand like maybe she's bringing up disordered thinking folks, but I think that weight loss is probably a huge um we could do a little more for the country as far as like education and programs to help people lose weight. But instead, we're so capitalistic and and there's so much food being produced, and everybody is eating crazy amounts of processed and junk food and getting addicted to sugar and all that jazz, that it feels impossible to lose weight. So I can see how somebody can be like, it's impossible to lose weight and I'm going crazy. I'm ripping my hair out. I can't do this. Yeah, you need help. You need to go maybe seek therapy. And then if you're like, really, really having addiction problems with food, yeah, get some help and get checked into something, or I don't know. But let's see what else she has to say.
And I think for a lot of people, if they decide that they no longer want to pursue weight loss, that's probably going to benefit them overall. I think there are health promoting behaviors that are generally good for everybody. I think most people probably benefit from getting some movement in at least a few times a week. I think most people benefit from looking at their relationship with food and seeing if they have a balanced relationship with food, if they're eating nutritionally. And if they don't, maybe unpacking why that is and figuring out some small ways that they can start to get more nutrients in. But pulling back from that, also deorienting this idea of health, because, this idea that if you do X, Y, and Z, that you will become a healthy person probably isn't the case for everybody, especially people who deal with things like chronic illnesses.
Okay, so if you live in an obese body and you deal with chronic illness, a lot of people do, and I have chronic illness, and I know a bunch of people with chronic illness. I actually know like of a handful of people who have like arthritis as a young person, like rheumatoid arthritis as a young person. So under the age of 35, they have arthritis, and they've even said losing weight, and you wouldn't even think, nobody would even think, I mean, obviously joints maybe, that like losing weight could help arthritis, but it does because um, excess body fat can also be inflammatory, hold on to inflammatory things, and fuck up your joints and shit, and your arthritis can flare up. So a lot of people with chronic illness will do a lot better with weight loss. I'm not saying every single chronic illness. Like I don't really know. I guess maybe if you're obese and you have COPD, sure. What's a chronic illness? Maybe tell me in the comments. What's a chronic illness that you don't think that somebody would benefit from weight loss? Oh, maybe if they have Crohn's disease and they're already skinny. Like, yeah, clearly weight loss wouldn't work for them.
Most diets are not sustainable, which is why most people.
That's why you shouldn't worry about a diet, and you should change your vocabulary there and use a lifestyle change. So, like, sure, I eat a ketogenic diet, but I'm not on some fad, like 10-week ketogenic diet. It's a complete lifestyle change. And anytime that I get off of the ketogenic diet for whatever reason, be it holidays, be it me just being like, fuck it, mental health reasons, that's the deviation from my normal lifestyle. That's not me going back to normal, because I always go back to keto. So it's a lifestyle change. My lifestyle is ketogenic. Your lifestyle could be paleo. Your lifestyle could be Mediterranean. And I know that they all sound like diets, but it's kind of like that's just the word for it. It's a lifestyle, but it's just the word, a paleo diet, a keto diet, the Mediterranean diet. I eat this way. It's kind of like when you're like, I feed my dog a grain-free diet. Is my dog on a fucking weight loss journey? No. They can't do grains. Aubrey?
Fail at them in terms of having sustainable weight loss.
She's under the belief that like all diets will fail and you're going to gain everything back no matter what, which I don't think that's the case. I've even seen personally people who have gone from like 300 pounds down to like 190 or whatever. They fall off the wagon and they still don't go back up to 300. Now, I've seen that happen where they've gained more than that, but they still don't go back up to 300 pounds. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think that people need to lose weight to be healthy. I think people can engage in health promoting behavior.
I don't think that everybody needs to lose weight. I think people who are in obese bodies or overweight bodies would benefit from losing weight. It would make you healthier.
Have nothing to do with weight loss, but more importantly than that, I also just don't think that people need to be healthy to be.
Isn't that such a strange thing to say? Isn't that such a strange thing to say? I don't really necessarily think that people need to be healthy.
People need to lose weight to be healthy. I think people can engage in health promoting behaviors that have nothing to do with weight loss. But more importantly than that, I also just don't think that people need to be healthy to be worthy of things like basic human decency.
Oh, I need to let her finish her sentence, but let's listen.
Love, respect.
Okay, so she's saying you don't have to be healthy to receive dignity, love, and respect. I don't think that, I think that everybody deserves love, decency, and respect. I think she's trying to say that like people who live in obese bodies are treated like shit, don't have love, and are disrespected all the time. And I don't think that that's the case. I think those things can happen to anybody regardless of your size. As far as her saying, I don't think that you need to be healthy to receive those items. Agreed. I just don't think that it's a good argument for her. Like I just think that where did you get that? Where are you getting that people who are unhealthy? Like I'm thinking, yeah, where are you getting that people who are unhealthy don't get those things? Because I feel like everybody. So I did that collaboration with Graphically Alex, and he was like, yeah, there's most people are fat and almost everybody has a partner or something like that. And I just thought it was funny.
It seems like the big fear that people have from this is that, if people decided that they didn't want to pursue weight loss anymore, that suddenly there would be so many people who would become fat, or that fat people would just get even fatter. And I just, even if that was the case, right? Because that's an absolutely ridiculous train of, there would be so many people who would be worthy of things like basic human decency, love, respect. It seems like the big fear that people have from this is that, if people decided that they didn't want to pursue weight loss anymore, that suddenly there would be so many people who would become fat, or that fat people would just get even fatter.
Don't you think that would happen? Like if, say you're watching, I'm assuming you're watching this because maybe you've been in an obese body, maybe you're on a current weight loss journey, maybe you are fat phobic. But don't you think that if people just decided to fucking just give up and be like, I'll just eat what everybody else is eating, which is the obesogenic food that the obesity industrial complex is feeding us, that's loaded with sugar and obesogenic items like inflammatory seed oils and just like corn syrup and shit. Don't you think that if we all just were like, fuck it, fuck Whole Foods, fuck intermittent fasting, I'm not gonna go sugar free anymore. Like, give me my full sugar, my corn syrup sodas, and I will have a milkshake every morning as my coffee. I feel like, yeah, people would get fat, Aubrey. People would get fat. It would be fucking Wally up in this bitch.
I don't know. Something.
Wow.
And I just, even if that was the case, right? Because that's an absolutely ridiculous train of thought. But even if that were the case, like, why is that a horrible detriment?
Aubrey, have you seen Wally? Have you seen Wally? Is that what you want? Do you want us to all be in fucking wheelchairs with cute feet? I don't want that. I want to be in a body that can move easily and I can jump and I can fucking see my vagina. Like I want to be able to do things without it being an Olympic sport. I want to be able to do things and not be out of breath, like tie my shoe or pull my pants up, wear fucking jeans. Um why would it be bad for the entire country? Can you just imagine, let me paint you a Birmingham, y'all.
Could you paint me a Birmingham?
Imagine with me.
A little house on the edge of town.
Can you imagine the entire world being fucking fat? And we're not in Wally, so we don't have the technology for that yet. Okay, you don't all get your own wheelchair. Some of you are bedbound. Can you imagine that? How fucking weird that would be? And then how smelly it would be? Because you wouldn't have any caretakers because everybody else is also obese. I think that's, at least in my head, I'm seeing that. Aubrey, are you stupid? Why wouldn't that be bad? I can't believe she would ever fucking say that. Why would that be why is that such a bad thing?
Detriment. And I just, even if that was the case, right? Because that's an absolutely ridiculous train of thought. But even if that were the case, like, why is that a horrible detriment?
Because obesity fucking kills. There, I said it. I said it.
For me, the pursuit of weight loss was almost deadly. Like, it.
What? Oh, she's gotta be.
Literally almost ended.
Oh my god, she's gotta be joking. Hold on.
For me, the pursuit of weight loss was almost deadly.
I want to see pictures. I'm so sorry. I know that's morbid. I need to see pictures. I'm so sorry, Aubrey. But I am having difficulty believing you. And I know that we should believe people when they talk about shit like this, but I am having a hard time.
Like, it literally almost ended my life.
I don't know, you guys. What do you think? Am I an awful person for having doubts? I do feel kind of bad. I hope, Aubrey, that wasn't the case for you. I hope, and I'm glad that you're still here because if you weren't, we wouldn't have this episode.
If someone had told me when I was younger that, hey, like this constant like weight cycling that you're doing as a result of chronic dieting is actually like really bad for your like physical and mental well-being, it might have given me pause about what I was doing. That's kind of why, as I've gotten older, I've decided to start making some content where I unpack some of these ideas a little bit.
Your weight loss ideas? Like, yeah, share them. Just kidding. I know that's not what she was talking about.
Because honestly, what I think is wrong and dangerous is this idea that you should be constantly telling people that they just need to like count their calories and be in a caloric deficit.
I don't say that. You guys, if you've been following me, you know that I do not. If you've been following me, you know I don't really count calories. I do track my food, but I focus more on macro balancing and macro percentages and like hitting specific goals. And I'm a high fat baby. But I also practice intermittent fasting and a ketogenic diet. So if you've done keto for a while, eventually it does turn into a lower calorie food, like a lower calorie diet. I don't think I am though, or especially since I started working out. I've been eating a little bit more protein like the last 3 days.
And that if they just do that for long enough, then they'll be thin and then they won't have any health problems anymore.
I mean, if you do calorie count and you eat in a calorie deficit, you will be thinner. You will, Aubrey.
And there's also this weird resistance to the idea that, hey, maybe most fat people have probably tried that before.
Yeah, I mean, I am fat, but I was a calorie counter at one point in my life and I fucking hated it. I found so much freedom from switching to ketogenic because I don't have to think about anything. All I have to just do is be like, okay, just make sure that you have high fat and you eat protein mostly, and make sure that you have a veg with dinner because it helps with vitamins and like pooping and stuff. It's important. But yeah, fat, like I don't have to think really. I track because I'm on I track my food now because I am when I do track, I can see like if I'm overeating. Like, when I'm tracking my food, I am more conscious of what's going in my mouth, and it's important for me to track because I used to be a binger blindly, un un like unremembering. You know what I mean? So it's good for me to track. I don't know where I was going with that.
But yeah, no, definitely the mentality.
Oh, but when I did track calories, I sucked at it and it just didn't work. But also I wasn't eating the foods that were beneficial to my hormonal imbalances. Like I feel like, yeah, sure, calorie counting works, but if you have like insulin resistance and you eat like not every calorie is created equal. And that's, I think there's science to back that up, and I can put a video in if you guys are interested in learning about that. But like like 10 calories from fat is not going to affect your body as like the same way as 10 calories from rice. So I was eating a ton of rice because I was also trying to be a pescatarian or a vegetarian at some point in my life. And that was just like not fucking good. And me got fatter. But yeah, I didn't like calorie counting.
Of like do what works for you and don't be judgmental about other people's choices.
Yeah, I do agree with her there. If that's what she's getting at. Hold on.
There's also this weird resistance to the idea that, hey, maybe most fat people have probably tried that before. But yeah, no, definitely the mentality of like do what works for you and don't be judgmental about other people's choices. That's like wrong and dangerous.
Okay, so she's replying to this comment that says your behaviors are teaching or your behaviors that are you're teaching. Well, this person fucking why does everybody on TikTok not know how to talk or speak or spell? Your behaviors that you're teaching are wrong and dangerous. But at the end, she did say something that I did like. I feel like people should just do what works for them and not judge other people's choices as far as this community. You know what I mean? Like if you like I don't count calories, but I don't judge people who count calories. I don't think that that's stupid. It is effective. You are decreasing the amount of food that goes into your gullet. Okay, so my camera decided to crap out on me, so you guys get the old baby. And whatever, I'm not gonna fuck with the balance. I think it's kind of cute, but I like old things. Okay, let's finish Aubrey.
If you've spent any time in anti-diet spaces on the internet, you've probably heard the term health at every size or HAES.
Ew. Oh, I keep thinking my camera's right there, but my phone died. I didn't even know that you could have a phone die if it's plugged in. That seems rude, and also seems like maybe it's time for me to get a new phone. Ew. I don't spend time there because I'm skinny.
HAES is a transdisciplinary framework that aims to shift the focus from weight loss to health promotion. The basic premise is that we should be promoting health behaviors for people of all sizes without focusing on weight, and weight loss may or may not occur if health behaviors are promoted in people in larger bodies. HAES is standard practice in the ED field, and there's been several clinical trials that have compared HAES to traditional.
Doesn't it sound like she's kind of like just parroting something? I mean, clearly she maybe writes a script, but it just doesn't sound very sincere.
Obesity management. The results of these randomized control trials tends to find clinically significant and statistically significant results. These results indicate that HAES is related to improved physiological outcomes like blood pressure, as well as improved health behaviors like exercise, as well as improved psychological health like body image. You don't need to focus on weight loss to improve health. If you've spent any...
Okay, but what about their blood sugar?
Results indicate that HAES is related to improved physiological outcomes like blood pressure, as well as improved health behaviors like exercise, as well as improved psychological health like body image.
Okay, what about their blood sugar though? The obesity epidemic is huge because, and I'm, maybe I don't have a lab coat or anything. I'm not a doctor, but I feel like a lot of people in this country are insulin resistant. What about their blood sugar? What about cholesterol? I mean, blood pressure is kind of an easy thing to fix. I've actually known quite a few people who, and maybe some of you, who have lived in big obese bodies and had perfect blood pressure. I sometimes think that my blood pressure should be with how, I mean, I'm not big, but I am obese still, class 1. My blood pressure is always good. It's better than my husband's, and he's skinnier than me. I've seen people who are fat who have perfect blood pressure. I need to know who they interviewed, which clearly she can't fit, everybody in the study here. But I know that they don't have a room of people that they are studying and like watching them make these changes. I know that it's most likely surveys and interviews. And I feel like that's a very unreliable study, in my opinion. I don't know if that's what the study, I don't know if this is how the study was conducted, but most of these studies are, in my opinion, unreliable because they do rely on like the memories of regular people. So like they go and they ask them, what did you eat for dinner today? How was this? How did you feel? And like people just kind of, unless you have a type A person who is meticulously documenting everything, I don't think a lot of people are generally reliable. So I want to know how old these people were, because it depends on how old they are too. I've seen a lot of fat as hell 23-year-olds who don't have prediabetes, and here I am at the cusp of obese and overweight, and I still have pre-diabetic tendencies in my blood sugar. I'm trying not to be spicy about it, but I just don't. What she's trying to tell us is that HAES practices, like your feelings, taking care of your feelings, believing that everybody can be healthy at every size, is more beneficial than actual real medical work. Like looking at somebody, seeing that they're pre-diabetic or whatever, seeing that they're in this obese body, which even if you don't have pre-diabetes, I know I'm so pre-diabetes phobic, but I'm diabetes phobic. Even if you don't, just living in such a big body is not healthy. And I don't give a shit what anybody says about health at every size. It's not. You're putting too much pressure on your body. You're putting too much pressure on your joints. You are probably living a sedentary lifestyle, so you're not moving your heart like you're not doing much for your cardio. Your hormonal health may be fine now, but with all that extra body fat, you're going to run into problems. It's almost inevitable. This is why you don't see people who are fat as fuck old. This is why you don't see old fat fucks. And that's it.
You don't need to focus on weight loss to improve health.
You do, Aubrey. Oh, that was it. That was the end. All right. Okay. Sorry that my camera kind of fucked up at the end, but what did you guys think? What do we think about Aubrey? I really dislike her. Her voice is absolutely insufferable. And when it comes to the different levels of the anti-diet space, so like the fat acceptance space, fat liberation, health at every size, yada, 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 I think health at every size is one of the more annoying ones and one of the more dangerous ones. So like I think they're all pretty dangerous, right? I think glorifying obesity or normalizing obesity is a dangerous tactic to recruit people into your friend group or your death cult. But I think HAES is one of the worst because it is surrounding, like it uses medical it uses I keep saying lab coat, but it uses lab coats to make people think that, hey, you're totally fine. Like,
don't worry about what people are saying about obesity. I'm a doctor, I'm a medical professional. Like, health at every size, you can be healthy and be obese.
And I just think that that's coddling, and I think that that's unhealthy and scary and dangerous. And I want to see people live long. I'd like to see us all live well into our 80s, maybe even our 90s. I don't really want to live that long, but yeah, I want to see more people live longer, and I am terrified by the obesity epidemic, and I would like to see people, do your part in fixing that. And what I mean by do your part by fixing that, I mean eating healthy when you can, moving when you can, and celebrating people who also do those things. So, if you guys made it this far into the video and you don't mind the weird webcam, leave me a camera emoji because I think I need to get a new camera. All right, everybody, have a great day. Don't forget, if you are new, if you haven't subscribed already and you've made it all the way to the end, what the fuck? Just kidding. Go ahead and hit subscribe because I post 3 times a week. 2 of them are public, and 1 of them goes to my Egg Carton, which is my members. If you want to become a member, it's only $2. Make you holla. And you can click the link in the description for the membership. But yeah, $2. That's not that much. Not that much. And you get a free episode. Well, not free because you're paying $2, but you get another episode on the weekends. And you also get early access to the weekly episodes. I do member posts when I member, and I do sometimes, I don't think I've done much, but I'll use like member only reels as like stories so you guys can see me be a dumbass during the day. So if you want to be a part of the club, we are the Egg Carton, and you guys are my eggies, and I like it. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and everybody have a wonderful and beautiful weekend. And if you are partying tonight, don't drink and drive. Why would you party? I don't know. Oh, also happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. Goodbye.
Framework that aims to shift the focus from weight loss to health promotion. The basic premise.
Where the fuck am I? Where am I? My camera died? Oh, you son of a bitch. I wonder how long it was till my camera fucking died. This goddamn fucking camera. I need to get a new camera, goddammit. I can't keep doing this anymore.
Would you pay me a Birmingham? Make it look just the way I plan. A little house on the edge of town. Porch going all the way around. Put her there in the front yard swing. Cotton dress, make it early spring. For a while and she'll be mine. If you can pay me a Birmingham.